The US military is accelerating its assault on Iran, claiming Iran's defences have been so damaged that it can move to a new phase of closer range strikes. Israel also struck dozens of military targets in Iran and Lebanon as Iran continues to strike targets across the Gulf. More than 1,000 civilians have been killed in Iran since the conflict broke out on Saturday, according to human rights agencies. Today, a US submarine torpedoed an Iranian Navy ship in the Indian Ocean near Sri Lanka, killing at least 87 people. The funeral of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was postponed because of air and drone strikes on Tehran. More explosions were heard in Beirut, and Israel ordered thousands of residents in southern Lebanon to evacuate as its soldiers advanced. And while the number of Iranian attacks on its Gulf neighbours appeared to reduce, drones and missiles were still intercepted in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Kuwait, while Turkey said NATO defences shot down a missile heading towards its airspace.
The view from a US submarine as one of its torpedoes barrelled into an Iranian ship in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lankan authorities said they rescued 30 of the crew and pulled more than 80 bodies from the water.
An American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
The US military said that with total air superiority and Iran's defences destroyed, it can now start striking deeper into the country.
The CENTCOM is now shifting in day 4 already from large deliberate strike packages using standoff munitions at range outside an enemy's ability to shoot at us, now into stand-in precision strikes overhead.
Iran cannot outlast us. We're going to ensure through violence of action and our offensive capabilities and our defensive capabilities, as I said, that we set the tone and the tempo of this fight.
Evidence of that tempo is clear to see on the streets of Tehran, with buildings in rubble across the capital. Rescuers pulled a man alive from the remains of a building in southwestern Iran, but the Red Crescent said 8 were killed in this strike near a mosque, as the civilian death toll continues to rise. The Israeli military said they hit dozens of military targets and shot down the first Iranian fighter jet of the war. This hotel in Lebanon that also housed families was struck in the Hazmia area of Beirut, as Israel's bombing campaign has expanded well beyond the Hezbollah strongholds in the city's southern suburbs. Iran is still firing back, hitting oil refineries in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. The Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed, and Turkey said NATO's forces shot down an Iranian missile headed towards its airspace. As Washington admitted that many of its preferred candidates to replace Ayatollah Ali Khamenei were killed in the same strikes that killed the Supreme Leader, his son, Mujtaba Khamenei, is emerging as the favourite to become the regime's new leader, largely due to his close relationship with Iran's Revolutionary Guard. But he could be a controversial choice, given the 1979 revolution disrupted a family dynasty, and Ali Khamenei himself reportedly did not want to be succeeded by his son. His farewell ceremony, due to begin this evening, has been suspended, as fresh strikes continue to wreak havoc on the streets of Tehran. Fergal Gallagher, RTE News.
Well, let's hear more on this now from our Washington correspondent Jackie Fox. Jackie, we see the US and Israel today trying to project strength, but there are growing concerns in Europe about this war potentially spreading.
Yes, Sharon, today was all about the US and Israel projecting momentum and military dominance, and it has been a blistering campaign. The US has hit more than 2,000 Iranian targets and sunk 20 Iranian ships. The US Secretary of Defence Pete Hegseth saying today that soon the US and Israel will have complete control over the skies in Iran. But the US is burning through its stock of precision weapons, and what that means is that over the coming days, it will have to prioritise what targets it intercepts. And there is no end in sight here either. There is no timeline. Nobody could commit to that today. Pete Hegseth said that this was in fact just beginning. And this is an operation that has spread throughout the Middle East and to the Indian Ocean with the sinking of that Iranian ship earlier today. And what is also significant is NATO air defences shot down what was described as an Iranian ballistic missile that was headed towards Turkish airspace. Now, if Turkey was the target, that would mark a major escalation here and really underlines how close this conflict is to widening further. And that was a view that EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas held today. She said that around an hour ago that the Iran war was a dangerous moment for Europe.
Washington correspondent Jackie Fox, thank you.
Around 400 people are on their way to Ireland on an Emirates airline flight that left Dubai airport at lunchtime. There are thousands of Irish people stranded in the Middle East since the war began because of the widespread cancellation of flights across the region. The government has chartered a flight which is due to leave Oman in the coming days. Well, our reporter Maggie Doyle is at Dublin Airport for us now. And Maggie, what more can you tell us about this flight?
Well, Tommy, like you said, we understand there's around 400 people on that Emirates flight that left Dubai around lunchtime today. It's due to land here around 11 o'clock tonight. We don't know how many Irish citizens are on board, but we suspect quite a few. We know that the airline reached out directly to those people and they would most likely be passengers whose flights had been cancelled last weekend. Now, also, an Emirates flight left Dublin today around the same time to go to Dubai. It's good news, of course, after days of uncertainty that there are now at least 2 planes flying back and forth between here and Dubai. The first Emirates flight to leave Dublin Airport since Saturday. Flight EK 162 is due to arrive in Dubai just after 9 o'clock tonight. It's understood there are around 80 people on board. This is one of 2 aircraft now flying between Dublin and Dubai.
It's been a very dramatic 24 hours, and for a change, it's good drama. Dublin was not even on the schedule this time last night. Overnight, everything changed. Even the crew, we have 7 crew here since Saturday. They got very little notice to scramble, get everything in action. The aircraft took off at lunchtime in the other direction in Dubai. The aircraft bound for Dublin also took off. Luckily enough, a little bit before closure of the airspace, a temporary closure.
After days of waiting to get home, the Irish people on board flight number EK 163 are now on their way after taking off from Dubai around 2 o'clock today. It's due to land at Terminal 2 in Dublin just before 11 p.m. The government has also commissioned a repatriation flight which is due to leave from Oman. But for any of those who are stuck in Dubai, that means a road journey of 6 or 7 hours. It's hoped that with limited flights now operating, those people who are stuck in the Middle East will soon get back home. Well, that repatriation flight was brought up in the Dáil today. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Helen McEntee, was asked about reports that citizens would have to pay towards the cost of that flight. And she said that €800 towards the cost of the chartered flight was a substantially reduced charge compared to what the cost of the overall flight is. But she did say that children would fly for free on that chartered flight. It's expected to have about 280 people on board. And she also said the government would foot the bill for transporting people from Dubai to Muscat Airport in Oman. There's already been some happy homecomings here this evening, Tommy, as some people who managed to get back through London have been greeted here by family and friends. But later on tonight, we're expecting a lot more of that.
Maggie Doyle at Dublin Airport. Thanks indeed.
The opposition has accused the government of being entirely passive while price gouging is going on amid the rapid rise in the cost of motor fuel and home heating oil. Hauliers are calling for temporary supports to be introduced to assist operators.
Oil prices have been surging on world markets since the outbreak of the Middle East conflict on Saturday, and now increases in forecourt and heating oil costs are being reported nationwide, including in Galway.
It's ridiculous, it's mad. And I can see in the petrol pumps, diesel's gone up, petrol's gone up. People aren't they won't be able to afford home heating oil.
You know, it's kind of expected at this stage that it is going to be, it's a commodity at the end of the day. It is going to be more expensive, I think.
Prices at the pumps have risen in some cases by between 5 and 10 cent per litre in recent days, with many operators across the country now charging over €1.80 per litre of unleaded petrol and diesel. Hauliers say they expect that figure to soon reach over €2.
From the shoes you wear to the cornflakes on your table, everything is delivered off the back of a truck. This is going to have a huge inflationary effect unless the government take control of it and take control of it very quickly.
Increases have been recorded too in the cost of home heating oil. According to price comparison website oilprices.ie, the average cost for 500 litres has risen from just under €500 last week to over €750 today, an increase of more than 50%.
People look at the crude oil price and say, oh, well, it hasn't gone up that much, it shouldn't be an issue. That's not the key indicator. The refined product is the indicator. So you have to look at what the crude oil price 2 weeks ago, then you look at the shipping cost, the insurance cost, all those things. And let's be honest, traders factor in risk. And there was a big spike in risk at the weekend, and that risk is increasing since.
The issue was raised during leaders' questions in the Dáil.
Heating oil providers have jacked up their prices by hundreds of euros, and this is blatant price gouging and greed. It's a brazen rip-off happening in plain sight. Of course, the price surge is also hitting motorists at the pumps.
There's a lot of uncertainty out there at the moment, and no one should take advantage of that uncertainty to increase prices.
The price rises have prompted the Enterprise Minister Peter Burke to ask the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to carry out a review of the retail energy market. Fergal O'Brien, RTE News.
Well, let's get more on this now from our political correspondent Mícheál Lehane, who's at Leinster House. Mícheál, we saw this issue of rising energy prices raised during leaders' questions today. What, if anything, can the government do about it?
Well, they're trying to do something about it this evening. Another intervention from the Enterprise Minister, Peter Burke, who has asked the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to look at home heating oil in particular. He said it's quite clear that there have been huge increases in oil over the last number of days, but that is not mirrored, or the cause of it wouldn't appear to be a shortage of supplies. So for that reason, and the many calls that TDs from all parties are getting about what's happening on the ground on that front, he's asked for an urgent investigation to take place. He also wants the industry representatives to come to his department on Friday and to explain just what's happening and to explain their price structures. As well as that, the Minister is asking any members of the public to contact the department and to say what they're seeing on the ground and what prices they are being quoted. So all of this is an attempt by government to get ahead of this, but the opposition have been fairly trenchant in their criticism, accusing them of being passive.
Political correspondent Mícheál Lehane from Leinster House. Thank you.